Welcome to the Peace and Chaos program. Get ready for your hosts, DJ Aceman and Big Don. How's it going, everyone? This is DJ Aceman along with the legendary Life of Big Don here today for the Peace and Chaos program. Big Don, what's going on?
We're back. We're doing a unscheduled 9 o'clock stream tonight. That's okay. We're still going to provide you with all the good content we usually do. We got some issues to cover tonight. Not a big news week, but some events happened. And some good old-fashioned debates we're going to get into, including with this man right here.
Yes. We are different time tonight, 9 p.m. prime time on Saturday. Things just came up, so we wanted to delay it a little bit, but we're happy that we can be on tonight. We're going to go over some of the polls that we did tonight, and also we're going to talk a little bit about what we did on our Tuesday emergency live stream. We're going to talk about what we were talking about that. We're going to give you a little bit of a recap if you missed it on Tuesday. Just for everyone, to let everyone know, follow us on on Twitter. I'm sorry. We'll get to Instagram in a second. At Peace and Chaos P1. That is Peace and Chaos P1 on Twitter. You can always go check us out on there. We always post our weekly polls on there. Check those out. Those come out every Thursday, sometimes Wednesday as well. We always want to get our viewers and everyone else a part of the Peace and Chaos community involved with what we do. Also, go follow us on Instagram as well. We put every single thumbnail from all of our videos on top of content as well. Go follow us, Peace and Chaos _podcast. That is Peace and Chaos _podcast. We have a lot for you all. Tonight, we're going to be discussing some things that have come up in the news pretty recently. And I think our first story says a lot with what our thumbnail is, and that is about Rudy Giuliani, the personal
Rudolph. Is that his real name?
Yep. Personal lawyer for President Trump. We saw a lot of him last year after the whole debacle after the election. Rudy Giuliani was basically on Trump's side. He was a big Trump ally throughout the 2020 campaign, and also afterwards with the whole election and voter fraud. We saw him always on the campaign trail after the election ended in states like in Nevada, Arizona, Michigan as well. But this week, he lost his license to practice law in the state of New York. This was determined on Thursday by a state appellate court. And for those who don't know, like when you're a lawyer, you have to be licensed. You have to have a certification to be.
You go for the bar.
Yeah, the bar exam. Exactly. You have to be certified by the DOJ. So Rudy Giuliani lost it because of his actions from last year. And just want to get you involved here, Big Don. Just like what you think about this. And, in this article, it kind of talks about what could be intact for the Trump administration or some allies with Trump who played a part in this, election drama that occurred afterwards. But just your initial thoughts on Rudy Giuliani.
Well, I think it's pretty much over for Giuliani, to be quite honest with you.
Really? Tell us.
I think this is going to send an unnecessary trend in terms of the criminal activity. I mean, the state of New York, especially the Southern District of New York, is heavily going after Trump and people surrounding him. We also seen Rudy. He was in some legal trouble after the 2020 election. If you remember, the FBI, I think it was the FBI. It's some federal agency raided his apartment in New York, and then his son got all mad about that. He's also, by the way, his son's running for I think governor of New York. But this is obviously a pretty telling sign of what's to come. I would say from how New York City or New York State or whoever's going to be cracking down on the Trump administration that's coming after them. I think this is obviously going to be a bad sign for Rudy because, he can't practice law in the state of New York anymore. And that's where Trump's got a lot of his legal stuff going on right now.
Exactly. I think that it's definitely something that is going to be a clear indicator for what's to come in the future, especially with the Trump, all his allies. And you see it right now too with the Trump organization, that's also being under investigation right now. I heard his CFO is that he could lose his job potentially. I've seen that on the news as of lately, with tax fraud and tax evasion possibly, with the organization. So I think that a lot of allies, both who were in the political activities with Trump and also, in his business activities, are going to go under investigation.
Right.
And like, what do you think that is for Trump? Do you think that he's just ignoring this, or do you think that he wants to still stay in the spotlight for good reasons, not for reasons like what we're seeing here? How do you think that he's going to deflect this?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty simple. I think it's just going to be another one of those things where Trump says, "Oh, the deep state's coming after me. They don't want me to have political influence anymore. They're coming after me. They're coming after you. They're coming after your family. They're coming after your mom. You name it. They're coming after you." I think that's what's it going to ultimately come down to, and how the Trump administration is going to spin this. And we cannot confirm or deny whether there's any like conspiratorial activity going on within those departments, but I mean, I think that's what you're going to be expecting from this upcoming administration, because I firmly believe that he's been hinting towards running again for 2024. We're going to give a live coverage of his rally that he's doing in Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
we'll see if anything comes out with that. But this is obviously going to be a huge blow for Trump administration, because now I think if he's going to have to run again in 2024, I think he's got to pick up a new staff and people to surround himself with. I don't think Mike Pence is coming back after he allegedly ratted him out in the 2020 elections and during the confirmation hearings. I think Mike Pompeo might be running again, might be running actually for president. So we'll see if he gets like a cabinet hypothetically if Trump wins. And obviously Rudy is going to have less influence now because, well, he's not going to be his personal lawyer.
That's true. That's
especially
true.
Well, I'm not sure if he's going to be barred within certain. He might be exempt. He might find like certain states, but the cases in New York are going to really hurt Trump here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure by then, I think that it would be best for them two to depart in terms of, we'll go in separate ways in terms of their relationship, legally and also professionally. I think that it would benefit both Rudy Giuliani and his whatever future endeavors he beholds, and also former President Trump and whatever he wants to do, whether that's political or business or anything else he would like to, accomplish. I think that that would be probably the best option for both of them. They don't want to get into any more sticky situations than they're already in. And yeah, I think that moving forward, especially with President Trump, I think that what he has to do is, he has to set himself apart from all, if he is going to want to run in 2024, by then he'll be about 78 years old. Yeah, I would definitely say
put him about the same age as Biden.
Yeah, stay away from that's I think it would be best for him to just move away from this, old group of his administrators and everyone else who was a part of his administration, and go ahead and pursue it with some individuals who hold uniform interests to you. That's what I would say, and I think that would be best for him.
Yeah, I mean, this comes at a pretty unusual time because, I mean, I think the talks of any sort of investigation being done with Trump, I mean, some of it has ramped up in terms of it being turned into a criminal investigation in terms of what went on during his campaign.
Yep. Oh yeah, like the incident that came up. Well, this was in the news also this week with the whole maybe potential Ku Klux Klan act and the whole Trump caravan, and how there could be ties with some of his staff and that caravan in Texas. I don't know if you remember the whole little incident that occurred. I think it was last summer, the Biden bus. I think this was in like late August, early September. I can look it up.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
like that migrant caravan?
No, it was like the Trump little caravan, the trucks that try to knock off the
Oh
Biden
yeah,
bus.
the trucks that try to knock off Biden's tour bus there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna look into as well. That one was something that I think is gonna be under investigation, whether it is or already isn't. Yeah,
In
let's
terms
see.
of what? Like if the Trump administration had any say.
Yeah, there could be here. I pulled it up here. I read it on the news that the Trump train, the people who were driving it, could be sued under the KKK Act because the KKK Act, I think, was in 1871, and it was a law designed to protect against any political violence and voter intimidation. And this was established after the Ku Klux Klan were notoriously known to go after specific black voters and any African Americans who wanted to get into any political activity. And the Ku Klux Klan would come in and intimidate them so that they wouldn't be able to go ahead and do what they were supposed to do. And yeah, this is the one right here, this video right here. And there could be some ties to some of Trump's. It's just saying it as a claim here, but I don't really want to say anything that's false. But this is under investigation also.
Well, geez.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we don't condone the actions that were taken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the video right here. We'll show you. This was when was this? Back in.
This was
Oh, this was right
election.
before the election. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it exactly.
Yeah, they're trying to run it off the road, and all these trucks had Trump flags on it. And yeah, this was
It's
someone
like,
in
can you make a
Texas.
more clearer message of who you represent?
Hmm?
It's like, can they make a more clearer message of who they rep? Who
Yeah,
they're
I know,
representing
right?
here?
Yeah. See, oh, yeah, this is the bus. Wow. Whoever got that video did a pretty good job.
Yeah, real talk. Shout out to the person that filmed this all.
Yo, courtesy of I don't know who they didn't give courtesy here, but that was a really good video. Good, perfectly shot too. But yeah, yeah,
It was all a deep state plot. They wouldn't perfectly shoot this if it wasn't the deep state. But look at this. Jeez.
Yeah, could have been. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, this was also another thing that was discussed in the news this week also. But yeah, but going back to Rudy Giuliani and also Trump's legal team, so other lawyers such as the Kraken lady, sleeping on the name.
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell, yes. Her and also all the other attorneys and people who made a stand. You know, this is serious to undermine an election.
Right.
And now, I mean, there's going to be investigation into this. You saw defamation too with, I believe it was Newsmax. They defamed the voter machine company.
Oh, Dominion.
Dominion. Yep.
Fox News also had a similar case with that.
Yeah, they had to denounce it and they had to come on air and have to make a statement about it because or else I think they were going to get sued even more.
Right, because they were proposing, because they were under the legal context of proposing conspiratorial information.
Mm-hmm. Yep, defamation as well, defaming the Dominion company. So that's also something that was that Rudy Giuliani, I believe, faces as well, and that's a reason why, he lost his certification for New York.
Right.
Yep.
The heat is on for Rudy. I mean,
the heat is on. Literally,
the heat is on.
That is it.
We need to get that. Even though I have it in the thumbnail, just show the pic. We need to show the picture of Rudy with his hair dye.
There it is.
There you go.
There you go. That's a clean picture right there.
It is.
That is crisp.
Looks like Sports Center.
Yeah, with whatever that show is, the First Take.
Yeah, First Take.
Yeah, similar.
Stephen A. Smith coming in.
Shout out Big Don.
I have to say about Rudy Giuliani, the exuberance that he faces under the context of the Trump administration is absolutely deplorable.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Shout out Big Don though. Shout out Big Don. And yeah, this is the other one we were doing this week as well.
Yeah, we got drama. This one as well. This was
Sam Cedar. Yeah.
Versus Stephen Chowder, aka Stephen Crowder, aka Cold Feet Crowder.
Yeah, that was our little live stream. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second, but let's go on here. Unless you have any last thoughts about Rudy and the Trump administration.
I think we summed it up very well. Chat, I want to ask you a question. What do you think of all the stuff that's going on with Rudy? Do you think it's for real? Do you think it's anything conspiratorial? Do you think political violence is necessary? All that good stuff. We want to hear it all.
Yeah, we want to hear it all. Yeah, always, always, always. If you're live right now, utilize the chat. You can always go onto our chat and you can go utilize that. Tell us a little bit about what you think about everything, and yeah, feel free. Feel free. All right, let's move on here. I think that this story, well, this terminology we're about to talk about has been in the news heavily the past couple weeks.
We're talking about the theory.
Yes, the theory, CRT, for those who don't know, critical race theory. There's a lot to unpack here. We've seen this time and time again now. There was actually an infographic that was up, and I wish I had it. Somebody tweeted it actually, and I don't know if I can find it, but the tweet was how many times Fox News has used the term critical race theory over the past 3 years. In 2019, I believe it was like 7 times. 2018, it was not existent. 2020 was like maybe 30 times or something. And then this year, it's like over 700 times already.
Jeez.
Yes, it's been, I think, in the news.
It's been a hot buzz issue.
Yeah, and it also has made its way to more liberal news stations as well, like MSNBC. Joy Reid, she had a guest on who was a critical race theory scholar, and also other shows also have talked about it, like on CNN they've talked a little bit about it. Tucker Carlson has really obsessed about it. Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, the big three on Fox News, have definitely had this on time and time again. But yes, it is critical race theory. I think that we just need to find the definition, because I think a lot of
if you're asking,
yeah,
I mean, I have a good idea what the definition is. It took me a while to figure it out because, frankly, no one can actually define like these academic terms.
mm-hmm.
But I think it's obviously, I mean, it's a hot button issue. So people are going to spin in many different ways, but we're going to try and find the true academic definition of critical race theory and what it can mean. Because let's see here.
Yes, let's go to it first. So this first little like definition just talks about what it is just in general, and then it talks about the context of it in the United States. So it says critical race theory, or CRT, is an intellectual movement and loosely organized framework of legal analysis based on the premise that race is not a natural, biologically grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups of human beings, but a socially constructed, in parentheses, culturally invented category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. So basically what this is it's a theory that was constructed based on that what we claim as race is not just biologically makes people biologically different, but it also puts people far up the totem pole and far down, because race can also be used in the context that if so-and-so is one color, so-and-so is greater than another color, and it also promotes racism. So that's kind of like the science behind that one.
Yeah, I think in terms of let's see here. I think that's obviously so pretty much what it's saying here is that race is mostly a social construct. It's not really like a biological feature. And I think we can find more definitions of it, but I think in terms of what the academic study is, they look at like race in the terms of institutions that look at race from their sociological perspective.
Yep.
But I mean, this pretty much, yeah, I definitely agree with the concept of this definition. I think race is definitely a poor indicator of biology because there's a lot of genetic variance among categories we assign to with race.
Okay.
So like for example, there's always the classic example used in debates whenever someone's trying to discuss like the biological differences between races. Like there's actually more genetic variance in people in Africa, within certain tribes of Africa, than there are with black and white people here in the United States.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's all due to various environmental factors that have probably shaped over the course of time. If you look at Africa's sort of geography, it's very diverse.
I'll pull up one thing real quick.
So this pretty much just lays lays out that race is mostly just a social construct. Obviously, there's external features such as, you know, skin color, hair, physical features. There's always been like the debate of like whether or not race dictates like IQ levels. Obviously, and that's pretty much a big debate that goes amongst race realists. But we're not going to delve into that rabbit hole tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking a little bit about it. Yeah, with especially with Africa, with all the different ecosystems that are there as well. Um, that has played a factor, especially with early days and the different variants of DNA. Wow, that's really interesting. I don't think we talk a lot about that in biology today. So I think that that is something that, you brought up a cool point that, people can learn about. And yeah, it does say it here. Yeah. African genomics. Okay.
Genomics.
Yeah.
Now, I do have another definition of you, which covers the more so, sociology side of things. Jeez, I can't even utter these words. Critical race theory is an academic movement of civil rights scholars and activists in the United States who sought to critically examine U.S. law as it intersects with issues of race in the United States as to challenge mainstream American liberal approach to racial justice.
Hmm.
I would
Who
also say that
defined that? What definition was that from?
that is straight from Wikipedia.
Okay, okay. Wikipedia actually does explain things pretty accurately. It's more for like specific things that you have to look at. Okay, okay. But this
Yeah,
is the other.
I mean,
Hmm?
it's not the most precise definition, but it covers the more sociological side of things in terms
Okay,
of the academic framework of critical race theory.
okay. This is the one from Britannica. So we talked a little bit about like the first one where it's just in general doesn't speak about the United States, but this is the one that is particularly used in academia around the United States. It says critical race theorists hold that the law and legal institutions in the United States are inherently racist insofar as they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans. That is the definition I think is used a lot today.
Yep. I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of historical context with when looking at institutions that have practiced sort of racism. You look at stuff like redlining. You look at outcomes within the criminal justice system today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of institutions that have suffered the effects of racism or have like very sort of disproportionate racial outcomes.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And it also says here as well that yeah, like you just mentioned with all the different institutions in the United States, and you brought up particular ones like the criminal justice system, economics, business, housing as well.
Yep.
All those different institutions here in the United States have had particularly, racist pasts. You can look at um, in the 1960s with um, the housing issues that were going on. People were getting evicted. People were denying Black people the right to live in different areas of different cities. So you did see that back in the day, and also over policing of predominantly minority neighborhoods as well. That is a clear indicator of injustice.
And bias.
Yep, exactly. It goes down a little bit more into how critical race theory was developed. It talks about critical legal studies, which was a movement which dedicated itself to examining how legal institutions serve the interests of the more wealthy and people who had influence
Right.
at the expense of the more marginalized people. This is, though, it is an offshoot of Marxist-oriented critical theory, which does look at the injustice in classism
Yep.
in developed countries. So that's why a lot of people do. I mean, you hear it all the time now, how they say it's Marxist. Well, I mean, it comes from the same of you know, branch of thought in a way,
Yep.
but it's completely different. I mean, Marxists and non-Marxists study this, so you can't just say it's Marxist.
Hmm. And by the way, actually, a common misconception about Marxism is it pretty much laid like the fundamental framework of sort of socialism, which it did. But the main thing Marx was trying to go after was critiques of capitalism to the point where he actually coined the term capitalism. It wasn't actually originally called capitalism back then.
Then he called it Das Kapital.
Yep, Das Kapital.
Das Kapital in German. Yep, the capital. Yep.
But obviously, I mean, that's the basic definition of. Well, there's a lot of nuance to it, of course. We covered this whole entire paragraph, but what we're more interested in is how it's being spinned in the media right now, because there's a huge debate going on of whether or not this can actually be taught in public schools.
Yes.
In fact, we
Yes.
even had a poll about this.
Yes. Let's pull up the poll first.
Yeah.
Let's get, we did have it come out a little bit late. Right here, we had, should critical race theory be a part of a school curriculum? We had this come out yesterday. We should have had this come out maybe Wednesday or Thursday so that we could have had a more, diverse pool of voters. We had 7 votes, so we still will talk about it. We had different hashtags to try to get different pools of Twitter users to come and vote. But we did have a predominantly majority who said no to the fact that critical race theory should not be a part of a school curriculum. So that indicates that maybe we had, parents who are concerned. Maybe we had conservatives who just don't like critical race theory. And maybe we just didn't have a lot of people who knew about what the definition was as well. There could also be that in our pool. But yes, we did have a pretty small vote count this week, but still we did have enough. But I think that today, since we've seen the past couple weeks now, especially after last year too, with the whole Black Lives Matter, how it kind of, the movement kind of intensified a lot last year. I think that we have had more discussions about it, but I think that it is so politicized. Issues like race today, we saw it last year and how this year too, just how politicized race is, that I think people are so, they can't really see and they're not really open to, actually learning what this definition is. And you saw what the concerned parents in Loudoun County in Virginia this week.
I think there was also some parents in New Jersey. I think one
Yeah,
guy actually got arrested.
yeah, there were arrests at the Loudoun County one. I believe it was on Tuesday, the end of the year parent teacher conference thing
Yeah,
that
my
they
question
do.
is critical race theory actually being taught in like elementary schools?
I
Because
don't think
these
it
are
is.
actually pretty high level academic concepts.
Yeah, I think this is mostly taught in colleges by students who study sociology, study US history, classes like that. I don't think this is taught in, I mean, when I was a kid in school, 5, 6 years old, they were not teaching this. And I think today,
No,
I don't
I
personally, I
don't
don't think
know.
that this is in school. I don't personally think this is in school curriculums. I think that this is
I
a
can do a
little,
quick Google search.
I mean, yeah, but when you were a kid, Big Don, did you, when you were 6, well, in elementary school, what was the curriculum like for your social studies class?
Oh, it was just straight up U.S. history. You learned about your terms. You go over the historical context of these certain events, and then you take quizzes on them to see how well you memorize stuff.
How much did they go into slavery and the founding fathers' dark past?
Not much at all.
Not much at all. Yeah, for us too, they didn't really talk about that. And even in high school, US history in high school, whatever year you take it, year 3, um, when you take it, they didn't really talk a whole lot. I mean, they talked about figures like
They talked about figures like
Crispus
abolitionists.
Attucks. Yeah, they talk about the
They
abolitionists.
talk about like the Frederick Douglasses, the
Yep. Yeah, they talk
uh,
about the Underground Railroad,
yep, the
abolitionists.
yep. I was trying to think of that. Who's that one guy that revolt who did the slave revolt and then got killed for it? Mhm.
Oh, Crispus Attucks,
No, the other guy,
John Brown.
John Brown. Yep.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, they discussed that, but that was a little bit into more detail than what we saw in elementary school. But I don't think that this is taught today. I mean, I have not been in a elementary school for, oh my gosh. Well, I worked in one a little bit in the past, but I haven't been in one for quite a while. But I don't think that that is taught. I think that it still is just general U.S. history, Geography is strongly emphasized in elementary school. Talk a little bit about world civilization too. So that's kind of where the social studies aspect is. But I do not think critical race theory is. I mean, and plus it's a theory too. And you know, who teaches children theories?
Yep.
In the way that
According
they're so
to,
dense, in
I
the
have
way
an
that
article
it's
pulled up on my end.
okay.
According to the Education Post, which I assume there's some validity in that because it's their specific field, critical race theory itself is not being taught in K through 12 schools
Hmm.
unless you're taking like some sort of very advanced sociology or law course.
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, if anyone has any proof out there that like fifth graders or fourth graders are being taught that these ideas, please let us know
Yeah, let us know.
because this is obviously being propagated right now in mainstream media, and we're gonna go more into that.
Yeah, it is, and it's yeah, it clearly has been something that has got the attention of so many people. It's something that a lot of people are now fearing that it's going to, quote unquote, brainwash a generation. These are things that we've heard now, and and other things as well. But I mean, critical race theory has had the spotlight now for about 5 months, if, and in those 5 months, we have got to a point where parents of like 8-year-olds are afraid that their children are going to be exposed to this at a young age where they will not be able to, critically think if this is a real theory or not. And therefore, they're going to believe that there's going to be white guilt and, everything else that they think that it's going to become detrimental. So that's where we are today with critical race theory. But yeah, and you just mentioned it too. I mean, I don't remember talking about this, and I don't think that most school systems, they pretty much probably don't talk about this, but there probably are some school systems where they say, look, we have some advanced students in our senior class. Why don't we talk a little bit about, some things that are discussed in colleges? Because I know that this is discussed in college if you take, a sociology class, specifically African American history or something like that. It probably will be discussed, but you're talking US history, I don't think it's going to be discussed in a lot of elementary schools.
Not
So
really, no.
I think that's a little overblown.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, if there's any proof out there, we'd love to see it.
Mhm.
We would absolutely love to see it. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Matt Gates. There
Oh
was
yeah.
a there was a there was a meeting in Congress about I think Matt Gates question. I forget the guy.
Oh, General Milley,
General
Tilly,
Milley about
Tilly,
whether or
Tilly, I
not
think. Yeah, Milley,
critical race
Milley.
theory should be taught in the military.
Hmm.
I thought it was a really good clip. If you want to play that, then absolutely play it.
Yeah, I can go find it right here. But basically, yeah, there was like a hearing um about there was quote unquote, he talked a little bit about wokeness, accusing the military of becoming woke. Um, that was discussed, but I can go pull it up because I think that this clip would really say a lot.
Yep. And now conservative media is kind of like going forward and saying like, oh, hey, what the American military, they're becoming too woke. We're indoctrinating them in these silly ideas. We're now going to have pink hair ladies fighting our wars instead of our brave men.
Oh yeah. That whole argument too. But yeah, this is the General Milley. This was his response to Matt Gates regarding teaching things like critical race theory. Let's play it.
First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people.
That was a big point right there, in saying that, because I mean, when you go into the military, like you do, well, depending on what academy you go to and whatever, like they do teach U.S. history, and they also teach, things regarding the U.S. And I think since our military is so diverse, people from all walks of life within this country do serve our military. That I think it is important, to teach things that someone from one part of the country may not understand, and I think that that makes it a more inclusive environment. And I think that's what General Milley was trying to get at, with Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Yep, and he actually expands upon this going forward with the examples
So
he
it
brings
is
up.
important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it. And we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. It took another 100 years to change that. So look it, I do want to know. And I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets. But I want to know. And it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on that.
Thank you, Jen.
Yep, that was Congressman Matt Gaetz back there who's shaking his head in despair.
Mm. Yeah, that does, strike I would say like a nerve to some people, because I think people just don't want to, talk about it. And I think that, I mean, let's make it clear right here, politicizing the military in any country, if you do that, it's going to dwindle, the country's military. You see that in Latin American countries, authoritarian countries in Eastern Europe. You saw that as well. If you politicize the military, you know, you will weaken it to some degree. And I think here it's not politicized at all. And I think that that was the fear, I think, of some people, in saying that, oh, if you teach them woke things, they will become brainwashed. I don't think so. And I think General Milley made that really good point of saying, I've studied Mao Zedong, I've studied Karl Marx. I'm not a communist though. And I think it just comes down to being educated as well. And for some people, if you're not educated, or if you don't know things, you won't have an open mind. And I think that you won't be able to critically examine theories that maybe are an analysis of society.
Yeah, and a point to bring up here: our military people are some of not only the most physically gifted people in the entire country, but they're also the most mentally prepared people in the entire country. So I think this idea that they're going to be brainwashed with the being taught that something like critical race theory is completely out of disproportion here. Because I mean, you have to be. I mean, anyone can join the army, but if you want to become like a high ranking official, you gotta be a pretty smart dude or dudette.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you have to be someone who goes through training, has to have years of experience to be promoted. And yeah, you have to be someone who highly skilled both in thoughts and also in trade as well. So yes, make a great point there as well. Let's pivot a little bit back now and let's talk. I found this good article right here. This is
Oh,
by,
wait. Wasn't this guy on the tier list?
I believe he
Yes, he was.
was. Yes, he was.
Pat Robertson.
Yes, so Pat Robertson
We
is
didn't
the
know who he was.
yeah,
During the
he's
tier
the
list.
conservative televangelist who he's with the who's that guy there? The other televangelist guy
Kenneth
who
Copeland.
yeah, Kenneth Coleman or whatever, Kenneth. Yeah, they're like two of the biggest
COVID
televangelists.
19.
Yeah. They're like two of the biggest televangelists. They're pretty much
Like
celebrities.
Joel Osteen.
Yeah, Joel Osteen too. But yeah, this is Pat Robertson. I don't know what state he's from, but he has, a big say in terms of, well, he has a big influence for a lot of religious, oriented Americans. And he also made some criticisms that actually went pretty viral. And this was picked up by the Independent, but the title says Pat Robertson calls critical race theory an evil, urging black people to take whip handle against the whites. Yeah, this was one take about it. Um, and he brought up the whole they're teaching, white kids that they're inherently, racist from their born. This goes against our um taught that everyone is the son and daughter, the children of God. And he went on to this more kind of religious standpoint with how people were created. And yeah, this did pretty much go viral. A lot of people were talking about this on Twitter over the past couple of days. And yeah, I mean, this is another take on critical race theory. And this is not even someone who's on like Fox News or anything like that. This
No.
is someone who's on their own little televangelist network.
Yeah, but here we got Pat Robinson. I mean, I don't know. I'm tempted to say these guys are trying to incite like a race war or something with this. This
Hmm.
is straight up what it looks like. It's like, oh the white people here, your children are gonna be brainwashed, and the black people are gonna come for you because now the white people are too weak.
Hmm. Yeah, I think just having these kind of thoughts is going to ignite some really radical people. You know,
Yeah,
it's going to
well,
ignite some radical people. And I mean, it fear mongers a lot of people already who kind of believe in these gullible things.
right.
But I think it's going to really make people, go off their rockers, so to speak, and saying that, oh, they're teaching these children nowadays, they're poisoning the youth, things like that, when in reality, they're not even doing it. We just kind of debunked that about the elementary schools, at least. But, they're not really poisoning the youth, they're telling, you know, advanced high school students are teaching this theory to advanced high school students and college students who specifically study sociology, history, anything to do with the humanities that pertains to African American studies. Okay.
Hmm.
And people, it got so blown up in, the mainstream media that nowadays people say critical race theory. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're teaching white kids to hate themselves. And, in reality, it doesn't, specifically say that. So I think it's definitely something where a lot of people can now fear. They're getting people to fear. And also it could incite a race war too. That would be really
Yeah, we don't
extreme.
want that.
I mean, no one wants that. No one wants that. We're we are a strong country because of our multicultural background. And to destroy a multicultural country, create a race war and make people find differences about themselves so that they don't appreciate one another. That explicitly what could happen. I mean that's taking it too far. And I know that in this country we have a lot of smart people who would not allow that to happen, but
No,
you
not
know,
even on the Republican side.
I think we would have a lot of people who would know that's a dangerous path. Everybody would know that. So luckily, I think we live in a country where people would recognize moral from immoral in what they say and what they teach. So luckily, I don't think that is going to happen. But they are with this type of rhetoric and this kind of messaging. This could make people more fearful, more bigoted, um, and more untrustworthy of other races.
Yeah, it could. I mean, and other institutions as well. I mean, they're now prophesizing that not only this is being seeped into academia, but there are also many outlets, including our military, as we brought up.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to be, I guess, anti institutions that we rely on.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's something that is serious that I think we need to keep an eye on just with the whole, um, you know, remnants of this, remnants of the discussion, what people say, and also the aftermath of this as well. I think we can move on though, right?
Yep.
You want to case close this little talk? We can talk about this again in the next coming episodes as well. This is going to
Yeah,
be
I
an
want to.
issue.
You know, what I want to do. I want to get a conservative point of view on this because I think there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, I think both conservative and liberal views would be good as well. I think that we're going to try to do some specific videos on that as well in the future. All right, let's move on here. This story was broken, I believe, on Thursday. Um, and this is regarding the Miami building collapse. Um, for those who did not hear about the story, this is right outside of Miami, Florida, in Sunrise, Florida, I believe is the city. Um, yes, this is right outside, near Miami Dade, and a 12-story tower in Surfside partially collapsed 1:30 in the morning on, I believe, Thursday. It goes on to say that as of right now, I saw this on Twitter as well. Right now, 156 people are missing. Um, and as of this, oh, hold on, sorry, wrong one. There we go. And also, as of this one, um, it said 5 people have passed away as well. So, um, this is a breaking story. The building um, was created in, well, was built up in 1980, early 1980. So it's about 40 years old. And yeah, this has been in the news for a couple of days now, especially with how the building was created, whether there was any issues with it. And yeah, it's currently under investigation right now. But I'm going to pass it off to you, Big Don, right here. You know, just with the whole, um, with everything going on and everything like that. I'm going to pass it off to you really here quickly.
Yeah, nothing political here. Obviously, it's a very tragic situation. We send, of course, our prayers and condolences to the families affected by this. Obviously, 5 people dead and 156 people missing is very bad for a whole entire community, really. And I mean, there's been a lot of reports leading up to this that the building's structural integrity was slowly diminishing over the years in terms of building inspection. And obviously, if we they paid the price here with what happened here. This reminds me a lot of what happened with the September 11th attacks in terms of what's going on with the search for people. And if you, I mean, people, if you look back to 9/11, people were stuck down there in ground zero for days. I mean, it's a terrible situation for what's going on because a lot of people lived here. I mean, to see it and to just watch it live unfold is obviously something to be just so shocking to see.
It is. It is. It's really is shocking. This happened, I believe, 1:30 in the morning too. And I saw a little bit of a live feed from the building that was nearby, and it had it showed the partially devastating crash, well, the how the building fell. It looked like it was hit with an airstrike and it just collapsed right then and there. Um, but yeah, this is definitely it does remind me, just the images here do look like at 9/11 a little bit. And also reminds me of the Grenfell Tower that occurred in London, I think 6 years ago now, where the tower collapsed and I forgot how many people passed away, but there were dozens of people killed and injured from that tower. And there were beliefs that this building was sinking. Apparently, there were
Yeah,
some studies done by Florida International University and some other scholars from different universities in the area that were looking into this, and they did see that the building was slowly sinking. But other than that, I mean, the building was fairly new. I mean, it's only 40 years or so old. That is not that old compared to buildings, 80, 90 years old. So I don't think that had to do with anything. I think maybe, you know, the infrastructure at the bottom might have had to do with something. Yeah, and it showed that there was major structural damage beneath the pool deck and concrete deterioration in the underground parking garage. So the base of this building was, a clear cause of this traumatic aftermath. And I think the codes were up to date on this building, I believe. So I think that this building, wasn't really shown, but nowadays, I mean, now I think everyone's just asking for answers. No, Governor DeSantis of Florida went on TV and he said he's looking for answers now. They really want to get the everyone to get aid who has been affected. And also, the mayor of Surfside, Florida said, Miss Levine Cava said that there is an ongoing rescue operation. But there's also a fire that was occurring at the bottom of the collapsed structure as well. So they're also dealing with that as well. So fire crew and everyone else involved had to deal with that also this weekend. But still, our prayers, our thoughts go out to everyone in the area, everyone who's been affected by it, and also the whole community. And also our thanks and prayers for all of the firefighters and everyone else battling the blaze and also still looking for um, any remains of people who are both alive or who have departed.
And make sure to wear your masks down there because you don't want any like toxic fumes or chemicals entering your body. Doing
Yes.
that specifically from 9/11. So
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Let's pivot back north here. Let's go to politics again. So this is in New York. We talked a little bit about this on the live stream as of Friday, but the New York primary election. This is for mayor. As of right now, Andrew Yang, who was expected to, do really well, he was put on the national stage in 2020 during the Democratic primaries. He has dropped out. He only had about 11.7% as of right now. 83% is reported, but it is still going on right now. New York City has done ranked choice voting, which is a voting system where you can rank the candidates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it depends on who gets number ones, who gets number two, who gets number three for all these. So it is a voting system that does give out a lot of information about how voters vote, but it also is a voting system which isn't simple like we have on the national stage here, where you can only vote for one candidate and that is it. So that's why it is taking a little bit longer. But yeah, we can go into it a little bit here.
looks like the big two winners here were Eric Adams currently has a pretty big marginal lead over Maya Wiley.
Yeah. Yeah, right now 31.7% to 22.3%. There is 83% reported, so we do have about 17% left in tallies. But yeah, as of right now, pretty big lead for Eric Adams right now.
Yep.
Who has a 88,000 vote lead approximately over Maya Wiley. So this is pretty big. Then you have Catherine Garcia, who had 19.5% of the vote, and Andrew Yang with 11.7%. Let's look here a little bit more into detail of the neighborhoods, how the neighborhoods are voting. Oops, sorry. Not good. Okay. I don't think it's allowing. All right. Yeah, right now, though, if you look here, Brooklyn is voting
all the boroughs here.
Yeah, the boroughs right here. Brooklyn, Eric Adams right here, 36%. Maya Wiley, 27%. Manhattan, Garcia is leading there pretty big. And then Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island, Eric Adams has a big lead. And this also has to do with Eric Adams' past in the police department. He has pretty strong ties with the New York PD. So this also gives him a big advantage in terms of becoming the nominee for the Democrats. Well, Big Don, I know that you're from New York. You've stressed this a lot about the commercials. Can you tell us a little bit about how it's looking in the media, who you think has the biggest advantage right now?
Let's see here. I mean, in terms of the ads, they stopped, but looks like looks like a lot of favoritism towards Adams here, who is getting more of that working class vote. I would say Milo Wiley is not that far behind because a lot of the boroughs that they're being represented by both Adams and Wiley have a lot of minority neighborhoods in them. They're also homes to, of course, many police officers. So Adams may have an advantage there in terms of Democratic turnout. Also, Staten Island's a pretty big place for police unions. Kathleen Garcia, interestingly, got the Manhattan vote, which, I mean, I think in terms of demographics, it's a pretty big shift because, I mean, other than like, I mean, we could look at boroughs like Harlem. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of diversity there. But when you think of like Manhattan, you think of, a lot of big business people. That's where a lot of the wealthy people tend to have homes. But right now, how it's looking like Eric Adams is having a pretty significant lead. I mean, Yang has officially dropped out, so he's not no longer in the running, despite his attempts to do so. I think his last debate really sealed the deal with him in terms of what he said about the mentally ill people in New York. But it looks like Adams is getting a significant amount of votes in all of these boroughs here. Now, of course, we have 17% left to go, but I think with the margin of lead here, I think Adams is going to be your Democratic nominee, and he seems to be a bit more moderate compared to other candidates like Wiley, who lean a bit more progressive than their views in terms of like their support of. Wiley is a big advocate of Black Lives Matter. She's a political commentator. She's a political analyst for MSNBC back then. She's a professor. And then Adams, obviously a former police officer. He does get a lot of minority votes because I think he did. I think he channels some elements of police reform as a police officer. I think people want to see that relationship between cops and people within the neighborhood build. So I think that's where a lot of the support of Adams is coming from.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, it does look like Eric Adams has a big lead. Yeah, it's looking right now pretty good for Adams. I know that the count is still ongoing with ranked choice voting, so it might be a few more days here until we actually get the official count. But yes, right now, 253,000 plus votes for Eric Adams. It is looking good for him in the New York primary. Let's go on here and let's pivot now to the national stage. Let's see here. This is the live with President Trump.
Fox
His
8. We're
role,
doing
his
local
little,
Fox News this time.
yeah, his little rally. Yeah, it's looking like the video's not working as of right now, but this is the rally President Trump um, is on. He's going around the country, and this is Lorain County in Ohio. County, I believe, voted predominantly for President Trump in 2020, and a state President Trump did win in 2020 as well. Ohio was a big state in 2016, a state that President Trump had to overturn, and he did, and he won. But in 2020, he also won that state, but he lost some other states that he wished he did not lose. Yeah, it looks like the video. Let's see here. Yeah, maybe it did not go live. Let's see.
One of our favorite Ohioan is there.
Yeah, see if he's there. I don't think he is.
Door. Let's see. People are definitely hyping it up on Twitter.
Yeah, we can go check it out on Twitter. Yeah, Saturday's rally. It happened this afternoon, believe it or not. Okay. That explains it. Yeah, let's go on to Twitter here. Can go look it up on there. Let's see. Bear with us for 1 second. Let's see. All right, this is some of the reactions from different political pundits. Okay, so Sebastian Gorka, who's a conservative, had this to say today. Above all else, MAGA is a movement based on common sense. President Trump is back. Um, we put some posters up today from some other group. These are just for the rallies. Oh, here's a quick video we'll show you.
A
We will make America great again. Thank you, Ohio. Thank you. Thank you.
like you're just on it.
Yeah, these are just some of the videos. We can see if there's other ones as well.
Well, how is he going to make America great again? That's my question. Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Let's see if Right Side has anything.
Right Side, come collab with us.
Okay, his next one. Let's see here. So yeah, it looks like it just wrapped up. This is also what Trump said.
Is your heritage and our magnificent American liberty is your God-given right. The people of this land will not be ruled and talked down to by corrupt politicians, petty tyrants, left-wing bullies, or socialist bureaucrats in a place called Washington, D.C. It's not going to happen. This nation is your heritage.
There you go. There's another one. All right, let's see another one right here.
Tragedy of all is millions. The biggest tragedy of all is millions of Americans have lost confidence in their vote. We can't let that happen. And that's why I say you have to know what took place in 2020 before you can vote in 2022 or 2024. You have to.
Yeah, he made a pretty good point here as well. I think that he really needs to retrace his steps in terms of, the whole voter confidence, because the fear among the conservative base for, an election year like 2022 with the midterms, or in 2024 on the national stage, is that conservatives or just Republican voters who voted Republican maybe last election or plan on voting in the next election but are just unsure, they really need big voices like President Trump or other big voices in the Republican Party to emphasize on the importance of voting. Because as of right now, there are a lot of people who probably believe in this whole election fraud, voter fraud, stolen election, and therefore they might not even have the passion to go out and vote. And that right there is something that they need the charisma. I think he made a good point here. Former President Trump made a good point here, because this is something that we're going to definitely see next year with the 2022 midterms, is that how is voter turnout going to be among the Republican base? Is it going to be as big as it was in 2020? Because Trump had about 75 million votes, which was up from his 63 million performance in 2016. So if the Republicans can get that turnout again, that will be good for them.
Yeah, that would be.
However, what percentage of that base believed in the lie about the election, and are they still going to go out? Are they still going to go out and vote, or are they just going to lose charisma, lose their passion, and not vote? And that's something that a lot of Republicans fear. And that, all right, if people are not wanting to go out and vote because they fear that their vote won't be counted, we're going to have dwindling numbers here, and that's going to give our opponents, a big advantage at the polls.
Right. Whether or not if you believe in the vote, in any case of voter fraud or the election was stolen, it is your civic duty as an American citizen to go out and vote for the politicians you want to represent you and the people within your community. It is absolutely important. Because you lose nothing if you vote. There's nothing to lose, and everything to gain from the role that democracy plays here.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. You all have a say here, and that's what makes our country so unique. Everyone has a say. It's not like in other countries where they fabricate things. You have a say. You have a civil duty to go out there. But yeah, that looks like that is all for the the videos today. Yeah, in terms of all that President Trump said, these were just some of the highlights that he said, but he did reiterate a lot of the things that we talked about in terms of the culture wars, and also, taking on like the more elites as well. So yeah, let's see. Let's get out of that little rabbit hole thing. And yeah, let's go now to another story I think that is kind of interesting to talk about with the whole COVID vaccine. I can go pull up the numbers right now in terms of how many people have been vaccinated. I can go search that out.
Well, by Mrs. Goal, or is going to Mrs. Goal.
Yeah, he is. I think they have to they're gonna like I think it was, I forgot how much it was. It was like 70% by
Yeah, they were
July
hoping for
4th.
herd immunity by July 4th.
Yeah. Yeah, we could see here. All right.
States are introducing vaccine lotteries. Some with them. There you go.
Whoops. Yeah, this is just a quick little COVID vaccination overview here. Um, you could see, all right, you can see by the region, a lot of the Northeast is approximately 40% or so vaccinated. Let's look at the big states right here. New York State is currently one of the big trailblazers right here with 53% of the population fully vaccinated. They have given out 21.5 million doses. Look here at California, almost half the population is fully vaccinated, and they have given out 42.1 million. Let's look down here a little bit. Massachusetts, I believe, has the highest as of right now,
60.
60.7%. Wow, that's nearly 6 in 10 people have been fully vaccinated. And then you look at states where vaccination rates are not as high, specifically with Tennessee, 34.9% of the population is fully vaccinated. Georgia, 35.4% of the population fully vaccinated. They're on the lower end as well. But when you look at it here, New York, California, Massachusetts, you see New Jersey, 255.3%. They're almost at that level of herd immunity, which is around 70% or so. Don't quote me on it, but I think the CDC said somewhere around there for like vaccinations. I mean, you can look here and say show all. You can see all regions right here. I mean, it is going up with people getting the vaccine. I mean, you saw it here with the rollout first with the elderly population. And then I think around April 3rd, April 4th, we saw the biggest jump between people getting the first dose. Nowadays, it's either most people are getting vaccinated or have already been vaccinated. Right now, it did get a little bit of a dip, but I think with the new variants, more people have become more, have had an incentive to get the vaccine.
Right.
And I think it's interesting to see that at least every state is above 30%, which I think is, because you're going to see that a lot of people are just for whatever reason not wanting to take it either for religious purposes, maybe they don't trust it, since it hasn't been out a whole lot. But you see other states. I mean, Massachusetts, one of the biggest economies things in the economy here is, I mean, in Massachusetts is the healthcare industry. New York as well. Healthcare is pretty big there as well, and California too. And I think that's why you see it New Jersey as well. And yeah, I mean, it really shows you that a state like Tennessee, maybe also just the way that people vote too might indicate it. Some people might just not really feel that the vaccine is going to help them for whatever reason, and therefore might say, you know what, I'm not going to get the vaccine. But I think a lot of people are recognizing how effective it is against all these variants that are out there, and also just with the way that life is moving on now. We're basically out of the pandemic for the most part. There are some things that still remind us that we are still in the pandemic, but as of the most part, I mean, on my end, it feels like we're out of it. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point right now where I'm just not wearing my mask in public. So
Hey, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm pretty much doing the same thing as you, only in businesses and places where they can require you to, just for policy reasons like that. They can uh implement their own privatized rules. But yeah, I mean, for the most part. Like outside, I think it's kind of redundant to wear it. Um, I'll only wear it in places where they really recommend it to you. Public transportation, I'll wear it on the train or something like that. But anywhere else, I will not really wear it. But let's go here really quickly. We've seen this with a lot of states. They have been introducing it. I know that Governor Devine from Ohio implemented the little lottery. Massachusetts has also implemented it. California has as well. Um, and this is to really get people to go out and get the vaccine. Um, it says this is in New York. So New York had it too. Governor Cuomo recognized the importance of it. They had a jackpot, which is a total of $5 million and a prize that the state hopes will counter a significant drop in vaccinations. They have it. Massachusetts has it. Maryland has it now. Ohio was one of the first to do it. Just want to get your thoughts though on it. Do you think that this is an effective strategy or a strategy that, quite honestly, is kind of a waste of time?
I mean, everyone. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's the most effective. I mean, it can entice some people, especially people who come from, I guess, poor backgrounds and need that type of money. But it's like playing the lottery. It's like, what are your chances of winning here?
True.
You're more likely to be struck by lightning than to win this lottery.
Mm.
So I guess I could see it as kind of redundant. I mean, it gives them a little bit of incentive, but I think there's still a lot of skepticism in terms of vaccines, and I think there needs to be a more proper response in addressing those concerns rather than having ads and having lotteries saying, "Oh, we're gonna win this money or get the vaccine," or because like there was a stupid ad in New York saying like, "Hey, you know how we're gonna beat COVID? That's we gotta get vaccinated. That's right."
Oh boy. Yeah, I haven't seen any vaccination, type. I mean, I've seen like billboards on the highway and the little like intercom things. It's like the stadium type lettering where it says get your vaccine today, go to this website, but I haven't seen any televised, vaccination propaganda, if you will, on there. But I mean, in my eyes, I think that it is good. I mean, um, I see that different states are trying to get college students or younger as well, up to 12 years old now you can be to get it. So 12 and up. And I think they're also trying to get a lot of young kids to get it because the,
That's the group right now that doesn't want to get it.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of because they are, I mean, you see with the younger kids, right now they're still doing a lot of research on the young ones and the
Yeah,
effects of
and
COVID.
like the heart issues that come up with it.
Yeah, yeah, especially with the 17 to 24-year-old or 17 to 30-year olds, like the young men. I think it's specifically hitting young men the
Yeah,
hardest with the inflammation of the heart. But yeah, I think that a lot of parents, I think there's going to be a lot more to get done before there's going to be a lot more trials to happen, and also a lot of trials, a lot of data, a lot of research that doctors and epidemiologists need to do before it gets the emergency approval um, by the CDC for different companies to start allowing their vaccine to be distributed to younger children, probably around the ages of 4 to 12, because I think you can't really give it to the infants. I think there's going to be a lot of research before that is done. So
yeah.
I think the next group we might see 5 or 6 year olds to 12-year olds start getting it. But yeah, I I do understand a lot of parents' concerns. Especially if your child's 12 or 13 just makes the cut. You know, could that actually affect um, you know them with their development? Because there has been a big anti-vax movement. I mean, way before COVID as well, with the
Yeah,
whole vaccines cause autism and
the
vaccines.
government's microchipping us.
Yeah, yeah, well, that too, but also vaccines might cause immunities, well, like compromised immune systems as well. So a lot of people do fear vaccines, and I think a lot of people have feared this one in particular because of just how recent it came out. I mean, they've only been doing R&D on it for about, well, since probably March or April when the when it really got going, when the pandemic occurred. And in December of that same year, they were putting the first vaccines into the arms of nurses and frontline workers. And now, it's been available for the to the public since probably, January, when the first elders were getting it, and then it moved on to, frontline workers in supermarkets and teachers. But now, with everyone else getting it, a lot of people have still, been reluctant because they don't know what the side effects could be in 5, 10 years down the road, because they don't have enough information to get it. And I think that that is something that the states are going to probably fail at with this, because I think a lot of people say, well, you know what? Yeah, the money's nice, but I think my health is better. So I think, although this is nice, I think that this is could be ineffective.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that take.
All righty. Yes. All righty. You have any things to say, Big Don, before we start wrapping it up here?
Don't, if you're not vaccinated, just don't go around coughing on people. trying to prove a point.
That's a good point. Yeah, don't go around coughing on people. That is a good
Or
one.
in general. Don't do that in general.
Let's do a quick Twitter trends, right?
Yeah, we'll see what's on Twitter.
Yeah, we got verses going on. The Trump rally went on today in Wellington. What else is going on today?
Quiet night.
It's been a quiet night. There's been some sports going on, and NBA, I believe, is on. MLB. You have a lot of sports going on, but other than that, I don't think there's a lot of news. I mean, this week was a quieter night in the news, especially. I mean, you did have the building collapse. That was something big on the news. But, other than that, I mean, London's trending. Let's see why. I don't even know what that is. The London marches. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, something's going on in London, whatever. But yeah, looks other than that, there hasn't been a whole lot going on. So there you have it, people. There you have it. All righty. I think that's going to do it for us this week. Anything else, Big Don?
I think it's time we usually do our spiel. Let's go shout out to all the places where the wonderful people of YouTube can go follow us.
Yes, yes. Just a reminder also, don't feel the pressure to go watch our live streams if you can't. You can always go watch them actually um doing the playback button on YouTube. So you can always go watch the playbacks of our live streams. If Saturday doesn't work for you, don't feel pressure. You can always go watch it anytime, anywhere. It's going to be on our YouTube page, so you're not missing anything if you can't. Um, but if you can, yeah, go watch us 8 p.m. next week, correct?
Yep.
All
Hopefully.
right. 8 p.m. If not, 9 p.m. We'll keep you all updated. So, anyways, that's going to do for us today. Like always, go follow us on Twitter. That is Peace and Chaos P1. Peace and Chaos P1. If not, you can go check out the banner and click on the Twitter icon, and it'll bring you right to the link of our Twitter. And yeah, go follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on everything else. And go follow us on Instagram as well. That is Peace and Chaos _podcast. Peace and Chaos _podcast. Go check it out. We put us reminders on our story. We do poll questions. We also put all our great thumbnail artwork that the great Big Don has done. Look at this one right here. Look at that. Look at that one. That was our one from a few weeks ago. We also had this one last week. We call it Fight Night. That was the one from last week. And go check out this week's one as well, which is Sweating Rudy. The heat is on.
Yep, and also make sure to go check out our other live stream, the emergency stream that we did covering the Crowder versus Cedar debate, or lack of debate, that went on the H3 podcast.
Yes. Yeah, we did that. We Yeah, we had a dual little stream on Tuesday with fellow Lana De La Santa, or Petty Political, I think her name is, on
Yep, on
Twitch.
Twitter. Her name is Pretty Political on Twitch, but Petty Political on.
Petty Political on Twitter. Yes. Yes, we did a emergency live stream. That was almost 4 hours long. Or was it over? No, 4 hours, nearly 4 hours. So that was a big one. We had Mike on as well. Shout out Mike for coming on. And yeah, we talked mostly about the Crowder Cedar issue that happened in the week, which yeah, that was quite a scene. But yes, go watch that. And we did some reactions to some of the videos that happened there as well. Anyways, that is going to do it for us this evening. Go follow us on all socials, and also don't worry, stay up to date with the Peace and Chaos program, and have a good week. We'll be back again next week, and get ready for some more amazing content. See ya.
Peace.